I'm Heyzeus, and in this video, we're going to be having a look at a secret hidden feature on Steam that's extremely useful and potentially a massive time saver if you know how to use it. And I'm going to be explaining what it is, how to access it, and how to take advantage of it, and also why it even exists in the first place, and hopefully it might even end up making your life a bit easier in the future. Now, this video is sponsored by Skinport, the easy to use skins marketplace where you can sell your skins for real cash. Skinport has a huge range of skins that you can buy at major discounts compared to the Steam market, and because there's no deposit balance, it is super convenient to buy what you want. You don't need to worry about depositing the right amount first or anything like that. You can just pick what you want and buy it for the exact amount it's listed for. No hidden fees, you'll only pay the listed price. Now, the site also features screenshots of the exact item you're looking to buy, so you don't even need to boot up the game to see exactly what you're getting. You can just check out the pattern and the exact wheel without leaving the site, and it also supports a bunch of games other than CSGO, so that's what you're looking for instead. Skinport has you covered as well. Either way, it's a really good site. I could point out its 4.9 Trustpilot rating, but instead what I'm going to say is that I use this site a lot myself. I really like it, I really recommend it, so make sure you hit the link in the description to help support this channel. And let's get back on with the video. So at this point, you probably know that I'm a very old school case investor. I've got about 10,000 cases from early 2016 sitting in my inventory. And I've made a few videos about it over the years as well. There was the first video where I roasted myself for being stupid enough to ever think that this was a smart investment. And then there was the second one I made after the price went up, where I bragged about how smart I was for investing in these things. But now that my investment is sitting on a pretty little profit, we're going to move on to the third stage of this story, which is the part where I bitch and moan about just how difficult it is to sell these things. You see, I've got 10,000 or so cases, and if I tried selling every single one of them individually on the Steam market, well, if each sale, including confirmation, takes 6 seconds, selling 10,000 of them would take about 16 hours and 40 minutes. Now, luckily there are plugins out there that allow you to get around this problem, but even in the best case scenario, these tend to involve a lot of clicking anyway, and in the worst case scenario, they outright install spyware on your computer. And look, I do use SteamWizard, a thumbs up there, I like that extension, but there is no perfect solution. And every time I have to mass sell something, I'm always left wondering the same thing. Why can't Valve make a tool that does this for us? Now, I know what you're typing in the comments at this point. Of course they can't be bothered. It's Valve. They're lazy. It's a literal meme. But at the same time, the Steam market is a massive part of their business model, right? Surely it's in their interest to make the thing easier to use. I mean, they take a cut of every sale. It's an obvious win-win. Why haven't they done it yet? Well, here's the thing. They actually have. Steam has this functionality. It exists, it works really well actually, but despite that, almost no one seems to know about it. And hopefully, this video is going to change that. Now, this feature is actually pretty old. It was in the game at least all the way back in March 2018. It's not entirely clear exactly when Valve did add it. It was never publicly announced as far as I know. That's one of the weird things about this feature, but we'll get onto that more later. And functionality-wise, it's actually really simple to use. It'll show a list of all the items you want to multi-sell, it'll show how many you own, it lets you set the price, you can see what you receive, what the buyer pays, and all you have to do is select the price, select the quantity, and you're pretty much good to go. The order lister will give you this message once it's all done, and aside from having to manually confirm these items in the mobile app, which you'd have to do anyway, it does pretty much all the work for you. You can run it on multiple items at once, not a problem. The only limitation though is that it only works on commodities. It does not work with skins. You still need an extension for that, but stickers, cases, trading cards, it works with all of them, which is pretty useful on its own. And given it's so useful, naturally, you're probably wondering, why don't I know about this? Why is this feature a secret? Why isn't everyone just whipping out the multi-sell page and using it all the time already? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Because you can't. There is nowhere in Steam that you can directly access this page. There is no multi-sell button, it's not here. And that probably explains quite a bit about why no one knows about it. I mean, if Valve secretly adds something and doesn't give people direct access to it, well, yeah, obviously people aren't going to know much about it. In fact, I'm not even sure when it was added exactly or who discovered it. Part of that might be because I'm not coding savvy or connected in any of those circles, but either way, this feature is something that's really not public to a mere pleb like myself who only likes to play the games. Now, I'll talk more about why it's not public later on, but for the time being, you're probably wondering how you can even use this thing if there isn't a button to access it. And this is how you do it. You have to make a custom URL to load up the multi-seller with the items you want. Yes, I literally had to write up this URL to access the feature. Now, in fairness, it's not actually as bad as I'm making it sound. In fact, this URL was literally just a 10-second copy and paste job. And if you know the key features of the URL, putting one together is pretty easy. In fact, let's break it down. Firstly, there's the base pass of the address that every URL will have. Then, there's a section that specifies the game's ID. For CSGO, that ID will always be 730, but for other games, you'll need a different code. Then, there's a connecting bit of the address that tells the multi-seller to load up an item, and finally, after that, all you have to do is enter in the item ID copied from its Steam market page. Now, if you want to add extra items to the multi-seller, it's no problem. Just add the connecting section on the end of the address again and add the extra item after that. And you can keep on doing this pretty much endlessly for as many items as you want. In fact, I'm not even sure if there is a limit. This thing works just fine, so you're probably covered anyway. But I want to get on to explaining why the multi-sell feature is so hidden. Why does something like this exist? Why would Valve go to the trouble of making it without making it easy for people to use? And there kind of is an explanation. Sort of, anyway. It's still pretty weird, but you can at least see why things are the way they are. You see, earlier I mentioned that you can't access this tool directly, and that's true, there is no direct access, there is no multi-sell button, but there is an indirect way you can access it. So if you go to your Steam profile like I have here, you'll notice up here there is the level icon. It tells you what level you are. I'm level 47, that's very appalling for someone in my position. Scandalous, you might say, almost as scandalous as this profile itself. I mean, just look at my friends down here. I'm a bit behind, you might say, but I'm too lazy to fix that. So level 47 it is. But if we go to my pathetically low level 47 and click on it, it will take us through to this page here. Now, this page shows your progress to next levels. You get progress mostly by crafting badges, and you can see the badges for each individual game here. It shows you all the games you have trading cards for, or that you own and don't have cards for at all, that sort of stuff. But if we go up to one of these games here, one of these games that we have cards for, and click on it, it will take us through to this page here. Now, mostly this page just shows you which cards you own, how many of them you own, but it also has a button here called Sell These Cards on the Market. And if we click on it, it's going to take us to a very familiar place. This is the multi-sell feature with all the cards from this game loaded up. And this is why the multi-sell feature was created. It's designed to make it easier to sell your trading cards. Now, it is actually pretty cool that Valve made something like this, because a lot of people end up with hundreds of cards on their account from the same game that are worth about 3 cents each. Like, I've got 50 on my alt, and this tool is great for selling them off. But the way it was designed resulted in some weird stuff. You see, because you could only access the multi-seller for each set of cards on the unique page, the multi-seller needed to have a unique URL for each page, which is why we ended up with this customizable URL. Valve needed it to get the tool working the way they wanted it to. And because the coding behind selling a card is exactly the same as selling any other commodity on the Steam market, well, by extension, it works just fine with any other commodity in the game. So at this point, all people had to do was insert some different item IDs into the URL, and they were literally able to hack it to sell whatever they want. Now, I don't know for sure if Valve expected this to happen. They may have left it open for advanced traders to take advantage of, or it may have just been an accident. But I think it's a shame that a feature like this isn't more accessible, because it's really cool, it's really useful, and I think players would really appreciate something like it. But at the end of the day, this is Valve we're talking about. They've never made sense, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe, massively appreciated. Otherwise, trust the numbers, not your gut. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.